attacking us with the tiniest of cuts.
We know what you do.
Joe McNamara just found out the enemy was never one person. It's an infection. Episode 3, The Bear is Infected, just confirms something far bigger than a single mole inside the CIA, a Russian-run network of blackmailed American assets, reaching all the way into the Senate and the White House. And Joe's response wasn't to hide from that threat. She used it as bait. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly what that gamble means going into Episode 4, and why the real enemy this season was never who anyone expected. Here's where Episode 3 actually starts. It opens in Kiev 6 months before Joe's abduction, with Delta Force operators forcing their way into an apartment belonging to the mother of Oleksandr Balakin, the Ukrainian informant suspected of leaking Joe's home address to the Russians. Back in Baltimore, Kyle McManus begins interrogating Oleksandr directly. He knows her intelligence training makes standard interrogation tactics useless, so he goes after the one vulnerability training can't remove, showing her that American operatives are already inside her mother's home in Ukraine. He doesn't even need to threaten her outright. The implication does all the work. Here's the moment that reframes this entire season. Oleksandr lays out an analogy that becomes the episode's central idea. Neither the tiger nor the wolf pack can defeat the bear outright. So instead, they infect it. An internal disease planted over years, turning everyday Americans into blackmailed double agents. That's not abstract. Oleksandr reveals she's been personally running a honeypotting operation, managing a network of compromised American citizens, including 5 sitting senators, one of whom was directly honeypotted by her. Here's where the scale of this becomes genuinely disturbing. The compromised network doesn't stop at senators. It includes FBI agents, military officials, NSA computer analysts, congressmen, private agency staff, and even people connected to the White House itself. Think about what that actually means for Joe's world. This isn't a foreign threat circling the outside of American institutions. It's already sitting inside them, which is exactly why the episode title isn't subtle. The bear, America itself, is already infected. Joe isn't satisfied with Kyle and Cruz's read on Oleksandra, so she interrogates her personally. Oleksandra sticks to her story. If she'd betrayed Joe's location to the Russians, they'd have known about the Ukraine mission and could have grabbed her sooner. They didn't. So logically, she argues she wasn't the leak. Here's the twist. By the end of the episode, Joe has a plan that involves deliberately letting Balakin walk straight into danger. She convinces Byron Westfield and Caitlin Meade to publicly announce Oleksandra's custody, a calculated gamble designed to force their adversaries to react, and in doing so, expose themselves. That's a genuinely bold move. Joe isn't just defending against this infected network, she's using its own paranoia as a weapon. The episode closes by jumping back to the present-day timeline, the one the season opened on. Joe is shown locked inside what looks like an abandoned mental hospital, strapped and chained to a bed, while her captors torture her, waiting for one of the agency's most valuable intelligence officers to break. That's the payoff of everything we just learned. Her abduction wasn't random. It's directly tied to the same web of compromised assets and blackmail. She's being held specifically because of how valuable she is to whoever's still hunting for information. Now let's talk about what's actually coming, since episode 4 hasn't aired yet. The official synopsis confirms a frantic hunt is launched as the team races against time, while at home Neil struggles with growing fear. That's a direct escalation from everything episode 3 just revealed. The team isn't investigating quietly anymore. They're racing against a clock. Given Joe's plan to use Oleksandra's exposure as bait, episode 4 is very likely where we start seeing exactly who reacts and how badly. One more thing worth flagging about episode 3's tone specifically, it deliberately refuses to draw a clean line between good guys and bad guys. Joe's team threatens innocents to get information, the same way the people they're hunting do. That's not incidental. On a show already asking the audience to root for Joe because she represents the side we're supposed to trust, complicating that trust makes the eventual reveal of who caused her abduction hit even harder, because by then almost everyone involved will have done something morally compromised to get there. Here's the bigger picture. Discovering a single traitor is a mystery with an ending. Discovering an entire infected system, one that reaches into the Senate and the White House, is a problem that can't be solved by unmasking one person. That's exactly why the season keeps refusing to give clean answers. The infection is the point. Joe's gamble in episode 3, using Oleksandra as bait, is the first real attempt to fight that kind of enemy on its own terms, instead of chasing it piece by piece. So here's where we stand. A network of blackmailed Americans reaching into the highest levels of government, Joe's own gamble to expose it, and Neil's fear at home, about to collide with a team racing against the clock. Lioness Season 3, Episode 4 premieres August 23rd, exclusively on Paramount+. The moment it airs, the full breakdown comes with it. Don't miss that one.